arrival of summer here in Ireland often brings two beautiful songbirds with us as well. Isn't that right? Very special.
People are thinking, which ones are they? They're the swallow and the cuckoo. Now, that mightn't be a special bird for some people, but some people love the cuckoo.
Special for us because I think it's summer. Summer's here, not for other birds.
Well, that's true too, yeah. Well, here to tell us about their place in Irish folklore and weather prediction, believe it or not, is our resident folklorist, Shane Lahan. Shane, let's talk about the swallow first. Like, why do people actually associate the swallow with summer?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait. I'm like
really?
Fella, I've never been so excited, especially this year, because the weather has been so bad. And I'm waiting, you know, I'm in love with swallows because my swallows, and I call them my swallows because they come back every year to my shed at home, okay? But they have an amazing journey. They start off, look, here they are. Look, this is my camera the other day, bit fluffy if you like, and okay, not always in focus. But look, you know, they're inside in my shed and they travel 6,000 miles, an amazing journey. They started off late February. They're going right throughout the month of March, okay? They do about 200 miles a day to come back all of that way. They have to go through sandstorms in the Sahara, the weather that we've had, all of that. And they come not just anywhere, but they come directly back into the exact same shed where they were fledged in the beginning. And that to me is just a pure miracle.
So no wonder you're calling your swallows then, because they're coming back to year after year.
I have to wait. I have to wait for them to come back because then I know the weather's going to be good. And one of the reasons for that is because they make these beautiful nests, just absolutely gorgeous. They never land, as you know, because their tail feathers are so long. They scoop down into the wet puddles. We have plenty of those at the moment. They take up the mud and they take any bit of vegetation and they make those little nests that are there. But those nests actually correspond to the old traditional houses in Ireland.
I was saying that, because a lot of them were made of mud, weren't they?
Mud, yeah. I think, Dahi, in your part of the world, there's plenty stone. But the rest of Ireland is actually 70% of our vernacular houses, our traditional houses, were made of mud. And you could only build your house when the swallows were around because they had to dry out. The walls had to solidify.
It's
and
amazing,
so on.
isn't it?
So I always make this association that that's a big deal in Irish tradition.
And what is it they say then about when the swallows are flying high? Why is that important?
So, like, we watched, weather is always a part. When the swallows are high, the weather is going to be very good because the flies are up high. The reason the swallows are here is because of flies. And when the cattle are out in the field, the cattle do they defecate, their cow pats. There are thousands of larvae in that. The insects come up, and that's what the swallows are about. And I love, do you know what I do in the summertime? I get out the deck chair, okay? I get out the glass of wine. I forget about anything else, and I'm there and I watch the acrobatics of the swallows as they fly, as they swoosh. It's just free. This is just a pleasure that.
But it's amazing. Even if you go back through the years as well, like say the swallows we have, like say if you like their grandparents and their grandparents before, they all came as well to the same place.
That's it.
And there's that connection, Shane.
There's those connections. There's some lovely ones that there's some lovely folklore about the swallows that I really like. People often got their hair cut coming up to the summer. Actually, at the end of Lent. Funnily enough, Lent was very early this year, but coming up to Easter, they just get Holy Thursday was the day to get the hair cut because on Friday everything would grow after that. But if you were getting your hair cut long ago, a bowler cut maybe outside the back.
We all had one of them.
Okay.
Male and female.
And the hair fell on the ground. The swallows might pick that up and put it into their nest. And the people used to get headaches long ago, and they thought that they got the headache because the swallow took the hair into the nest, and the headaches would last until the first birds were born in that nest. You'd be free from it then.
It's amazing.
And isn't there the say as well? It's bad luck to knock a swallow.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't. So, like long ago again around Easter time, the kids would be going collecting eggs. They collect eggs from everywhere. It was a thing that children did. We don't do it now, but they used to collect eggs, and they'd be mad to get the swallows' eggs to see what it was like. The swallow's nest was way up high in the rafters, and they used to go up. They used to pick it down. And then what would happen often around this time of year when they were milking, sometimes for a bit of mastitis or a cut, sometimes a bit of blood might go into the milk, and the farmers would always say, that's because the children were at the swallow's nest. That was the reason for that.
I remember even long ago with us, like the shed at home with Dad. You were never like, because the swallows in the sheds, and there was a low ceiling, and you'd open the door, and the minute they'd see the light, they'd fly out. You'd be nearly ducking and diving, but you were never allowed to touch the swallow's nest.
Bad luck, I think, as well.
It's definitely bad luck. There's I love the swallow's tail. You know, when I'm out looking at them, they're sitting on the wire. They have the long two little strips coming down. There's a well-known story that years and years back, a snake came to back in Africa. The snake came to grab the swallow, and the swallow was fast enough. But just as he snapped at it, didn't he take off the middle of his tail, and that's where you get the two long bits afterwards. You know?
Shane, the piece we saw earlier on, was that taken recently of the swallows?
That was last year.
Yeah. So have they arrived yet?
No.
Are they early or later? Do we know?
They're late.
They're late.
That's why he's so excited. It's like Christmas morning. He's hopping around in the couch.
I can't tell you how stupid I am. This is to me.
Well, come here. Say for example, because the seasons are changing now, that must affect them as well, does it?
It affects everything, and the weather affects everything. So I'm really concerned. And my lovely partner Maura keeps a diary, and she always tells me when the swallows are there and so on. But we would expect them now in the next few days, and you should watch out and you should look for them. And if you see them, I think it's something to rejoice, definitely.
And we have to talk about the cuckoos now as well, don't we too?
Well, the other one, the reason I love the cuckoo then as well is because you never see the cuckoo.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a cuckoo bird. I've heard the cuckoo.
Yeah.
You always hear the cuckoo.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just beautiful, the sound of the cuckoo. And my late mother, her birthday would have been yesterday, the 15th, and tomorrow is her anniversary, okay? And she was born, of course, then, and there was an old phrase, the cuckoo comes in April, she sings her song in May, in June she plays a merry tune, and July she flies away. But my grandfather used to say to my mother, but my Eleanor is no cuckoo, like that. But it was that, so there's always that lovely association with the cuckoo. But I think to hear the cuckoo is really special because there's a whole lot of folklore about hearing the cuckoo. And this is great advice now for anyone who wants a bit of good luck. You should never hear the cuckoo when you're in bed, right? If you're in bed anyway, it looks like you're going to die in the future, right? Or if you're inside in a graveyard and you hear the cuckoo, it's not good luck. Or if you're bent over in any shape or form, hearing the cuckoo is bad. But if you can get outside and you can be in a green, lush field and you hear the cuckoo, that's fortune is going to come your way.
No, you can't stay there for 40 days straight waiting for the cuckoo.
You should listen out for the cuckoo. There's all sorts of other ones as well. Often, if you look under your right foot and you take it up and there's a piece of hair on your foot, which sometimes whatever way it is, if it was black hair, you're going to die young. If it's grey hair, you'll live a long life. So people and best thing of all, have money in your pocket, in your right hand. And as soon as you hear the cuckoo, take it out and roll it around, and you'll have good fortune for the rest of time. You know?
It's amazing.
You could just play the sound and then they'll give you the money.
The thing I like about it, because anytime we hear it now, I'll always call my young fella out to hear it with me, like my mother did to me. And it was always a sign that the warmer days were coming as well. You know what I mean?
It was fantastic. There was also a lovely one, you know, there were predictions about weather too with that. There's one, if the cuckoo sits on a bare thorn, you should sell your cow and buy corn. But if the cuckoo sits on a green bough, you should sell your corn and buy a cow. And the reason for that is that the cuckoo, if it comes now, you know, the thorn is going to be bare because the weather, as you were saying, Dahi, isn't good enough. So we're looking at not great fortune coming our way. So people forecast the future, they forecast the weather, and they related it to the birds, to the arrival of the birds. But there was also one, you know, you'd ask the cuckoo, like that, Dahi, your lovely story now, cuckoo, true answer give, how many years have I to live? And then you'd listen and you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4. Or cuckoo, the answer said, how many years more shall I be wed? And the girls would be counting and they'd look to that. So you made all these wonderful predictions.
I have, I suppose the last question now, but before we finish up, but I have to ask, because I've always wanted to know, Cloud Cuckoo Land. Where does that come from? Now,
that's
outside of your mother now.
Yeah, she'd often say that to me. You know, are you living in Cloud Cuckoo Land?
Well, do you know what? It's actually a classical illusion. A fellow called Aristophanes, writing in the 5th century, he wrote a play where he got all the birds to actually intermingle on the clouds up above between the gods and ourselves, and that was Cloud Cuckoo Land. So they were in between. So, but it's mainly taken that anyone who's a bit half daft is living in Cloud Cuckoo Land.
There's another thing what Christy Ring always said when they were talking about league matches, and it wasn't as important. And I don't know this as the championship, and he used to always say not to worry, not until the cuckoo sings.
Oh, there you go.
That's what he always said.
That's fantastic.
Shane, thank you for being with us. Thank you so much for all of your insights, as always. And we look forward to the swallows, the cuckoos, and the better weather.
Hopefully they'll be here soon. Now it is competition.